Many people grew up hearing one clear message about heart health. Fat from meat is dangerous, cholesterol in food is harmful, and clogged arteries are almost guaranteed if people enjoy rich, animal-based meals. This idea shaped grocery habits, restaurant menus, and medical advice for generations. But a growing wave of research is now reshaping this familiar story, revealing a very different culprit behind the slow buildup inside blood vessels. The true troublemaker may not be natural fat at all, but something much more modern and much more silent. For many years, health authorities pointed to a celebrated international project that appeared to link heavy intake of saturated fat with higher risk of heart trouble. Autopsies showed thick plaque stuck to artery walls, and chemical studies confirmed that the plaque held cholesterol. It looked simple. People ate fatty foods, cholesterol rose, arteries narrowed, and hearts suffered. Natural animal fat quickly became a villain in the public mind. But science often moves like a tide, pulling toward new directions as better tools and deeper understanding arrive. And recent studies are painting a picture that turns the old warning on its head. Cholesterol, long viewed as the main offender, may not be the mastermind behind arterial plaque. Instead, it behaves more like a passenger that only enters the artery wall when the inner lining is already damaged. Without damage, that lining acts like a strong, smooth barrier. With damage, it becomes full of tiny cracks, giving cholesterol a doorway inside. This raises a critical question. If cholesterol is not the one swinging the hammer, then what is striking the vessel wall in the first place? Researchers are increasingly pointing to inflammation as the hidden force that begins the trouble. Inflammation is the body's natural response to harm, but when it becomes constant and widespread, it quietly erodes the integrity of tissues, including blood vessel linings. Once that protective lining is irritated, weakened, or inflamed, cholesterol from the bloodstream can slip through, settle in, and become part of growing plaque. And what sparks this inflammation? The spotlight is now turning toward industrial fats that fill modern kitchens. These fats are found in products shaped far from nature, such as hardened spreads, cheap baking fats, and oils extracted using high heat and repeated refining. Many of these oils carry large amounts of omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 is essential in small amounts, but when people consume much more of it than omega-3, the body tilts toward a pro-inflammatory state. Imagine a tiny spark landing in dry leaves. The imbalance acts like those leaves, fueling a slow, steady burn that spreads through the body. It does not create flames people can feel, but it disrupts the natural balance of cells. Once that slow burn reaches blood vessels, the inner lining becomes irritated. That irritation is the invitation for cholesterol to enter and start forming the layers that later become plaque. This shift in understanding is causing many experts to reconsider old dietary advice. The idea that natural saturated fat from whole foods is the main enemy now appears to be too shallow and too narrow. Evidence suggests that when the diet is free from industrial oils and overly refined fats, moderate intake of natural animal fat may cause little harm. The body seems quite capable of managing these traditional foods, especially when paired with balanced eating, steady activity, and a calm internal environment. The real threat seems to rise from foods that never existed in traditional kitchens. Batches of oil heated, bleached, deodorized, then bottled for frying. Solid spreads created to mimic butter but processed far beyond recognition. Snacks that remain crisp on shelves for months because they are loaded with industrial fats that resist spoilage. These modern inventions introduce fats that the human body is not built to handle in excess, especially when consumed day after day. When these fats dominate the diet, they disrupt the delicate orchestra of fatty acids the body uses to build hormones, repair cells, and keep the immune system balanced. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, leafy greens, and some seeds help soothe inflammation. Omega-6, when balanced with omega-3, also plays a useful role. But the modern shift toward processed foods has tilted that balance so far that the body remains in a simmering inflammatory state. At the same time, people often blame natural foods that have nourished humans for centuries. Meat, dairy, and other sources of natural fat were easy scapegoats because they contain cholesterol. But the newer view suggests that without inflammation, cholesterol simply circulates, performs its duties, and returns to the liver. Trouble comes only when the inner lining of the vessels becomes roughed up by inflammatory triggers. This evolving understanding offers a more hopeful perspective. Preventing heart disease may not require rigid fear of natural fats. Instead, it may call for avoiding the hidden agents that stoke the inflammatory fire. Choosing oils that come from gentle extraction methods, avoiding hardened spreads and deep-fried snacks, and selecting whole foods over processed ones can calm the system from within. When the endothelium, the delicate lining of blood vessels, remains cool and uninflamed, cholesterol has no opening to sneak in. Plaque formation becomes far less likely. The body regains control of its own repair systems. This insight also explains why populations that eat traditional diets rich in unprocessed foods often show remarkable heart health, even when they consume natural animal fats. Their meals tend to contain minimal industrial oils and far fewer processed products that upset internal balance. People may take comfort in knowing that protecting their heart does not require fear of every piece of meat or spoon of natural fat. The path towards stronger arteries may instead lie in a return to simpler cooking. Fresh ingredients, natural fats in moderate amounts, and a diet low in industrial products can help lower inflammation and support the quiet, constant work of the heart. This shift in thinking is still spreading, and many are surprised to learn how much the focus has changed. But as more research continues to highlight inflammation as the silent architect of plaque, society gains a clearer view of how modern eating habits influence long-term health. The message is not about strict elimination of traditional foods. It is about understanding which fats support the body and which ones silently undermine it. In the end, the future of heart health guidance may rest on a simple idea. The body thrives when it receives fats that nature intended and suffers when it is flooded with heavily manipulated oils. Reducing inflammation may be the most powerful way to protect the heart, and that begins with choosing foods that calm, not irritate, the inner landscape where arteries quietly carry life. Thank you for watching. If you found this insight helpful, give a like, share the message, and subscribe for more deep stories about health and science that truly matter.